When people tell me that they can't read a fantasy book unless it has a really strong line of romance in it, I actually am just convinced you haven't been reading the right fantasy books. Because trust me, you don't need a big line of romance to be obsessed with the fantasy world. These books literally have me gripped from page one, and they have minimal line to no line of romance. Ember in the Ashes, this world was so incredibly unique. It felt so different to anything I have read before. The main protagonist has to go undercover into a castle to try and save her brother. The political system in this was absolutely incredible. Everything about this was wonderful. I cannot wait to continue the series. There's a little line of romance, so if you really want to grab onto it, you can, and I will say it is quite good, however little it is. The Shadow of the Gods. If you like mythology-inspired fantasy books, this is a Norse mythology-inspired fantasy book, which is the only one I have ever read. Obviously, we have mythical creatures. We have so much action. This is such high stakes. It is never a dull moment, and just incredible writing. Such incredible writing. Obviously, Name of the Wind. I will say the second book is out, but we have no idea when the third book is going to be out, so go in at your own risk. However, I think it is a fascinating story. We have mythical creatures. We have quests. Again, high stakes, incredible characters, a tiny, tiny little line of romance, but the plot is so good, it just has me hooked the entire time. For a YA option, Akane or the Madoran Chronicles by Lynette Noni. This feels like Harry Potter, but in a very different magical setting, but it gives the same vibes. We've got an incredible sense of found family. I love our characters so much. Very, very small line of romance that kind of progresses throughout the series. This just feels like a warm hug. This feels like delving into a fantasy book that is a warm hug. That is the best way I can describe it. Dance of Thieves. Now, I'm not even gonna lie. I did love the romance in this. The tension between these two was insane, but more than that, the world that this was set in was insane. I loved how intricate it was. I loved the wittiness involved, the politics, the plot, everything about this had me on the edge of the seat, and I was just hooked. I was literally hooked from page one. Night of the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This comes out in May, and when I tell you this is one of my new favorite reads, this was absolutely fascinating. We are set in the world of divination, so like the study of dreams. Rachel Gillig always chooses the most incredible, fascinating worlds to build her characters around. Everything about this was perfect. It was a 5-star read for me. If you like Once Upon a Broken Heart, A Winter's Promise, the first in the Mirror Visitor series, this is the most mystical, fantastical series. We set in a world with floating islands, and this is a marriage of convenience, but such a slow burn. The world is just so fascinating, so unique and like delicate. I feel like that's the best way I can describe it. And lastly, Swordcatcher. I feel like we all know Cassandra Clare. Obviously, we all know how wonderful she is at writing romances, but we haven't appreciated how good she is at creating a political fantasy world, because Swordcatcher was just that. I loved our characters in this. Basically, our main protagonist is a swordcatcher, which is kind of like a body double, a bodyguard for our prince. He looks very similar, and whenever the prince might be in danger, he steps in and like takes his body place. There's also multiple POVs, and I loved this world.